What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. It's been a minute here. It's been about a month since I've done a video, but I've been a little busy, but here I am. We're back for another front-end mentor challenge. Today we're going to do, let me just go to challenges here. We're going to do a challenge that I know for a fact a lot of people have an issue with. And I know that because I had an issue with it. And then I looked at some other examples for some guidance. And those other people didn't do what I was trying to do correctly either. So I don't know if there's anybody that's successfully done the challenge like the design, but I want to do this skilled e-learning challenge. Okay, this one right here. A lot of people having a lot of trouble with this. I had trouble with this, and I've been doing this for a while. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on it here, and I'll tell you what most people are having trouble with is this thing right here. This bad boy, keeping this up in the top corner. So this is the desktop version, okay? This is throwing a lot of people off, and it's awkward. It's an image, and it's like in a weird spot because everything else is like in a container and different. So, but yeah, that's the desktop version. And then this is the tablet / smaller screen version. And for you can see that this goes from being in the corner to just being over here. So that's a lot easier to do. And what I found in this design is, even though this says tablet design, realistically, this is how you should be doing it for pretty much every screen except for ultra wide screen desktops. Or just because most desktop computers and the screens today are like 25 inches and above. And just for the sake of like your own sanity and the limits of CSS, you can really only achieve this for like larger screen sizes. And then for this area, just even though it's this tablet design, like this is actually for most laptops too. Like you just want to go with this. You don't want to torture yourself trying to get this thing to stay there using relative and absolute and all these positionings. It's not going to work out well. Okay, so we'll go over that when we get there. But this is, I know for a fact people had trouble with this because I saw from the other examples out there that this was just wrong, pretty much on every screen from every other user. Just got this part. They ended up like hacking their way through it, and it didn't look like the design really at all for a lot of people. So this should be a good one to do because it should get a lot of traffic. Hopefully, this video, because I know people don't know what to do with that. Anyway, and then so that was the tablet, and then mobile design, right here. So yeah, that's it. So let's get started. This is a premium challenge on Front End Mentor, so you have to be a paid member to access the file for it, the design file, which is like a you can now. Well, yeah, I guess there's still a starter, so you don't need to use Figma or Sketch, but I use Figma for this one. If you don't know what Figma is, it's a design software like Photoshop, but it's just for web development. So recommend you can go to figma.com, and it's free. It's a free open source software. You don't got to pay for it. You can download it, download the Figma file for this. You might as well if you're a pro member. Or you can just follow along with me and just do that if you're super new to coding and you just want to have a little more hand holding. I'm going to download the starter, I guess. And then I already have the Figma file for this. I think I already downloaded it. So let's go here. I'm just going to X out of that. And this is skilled e-learning. Yeah, there's the Figma file. So skilled e-learning landing page.zip. Guessing this is the starter. Yeah. Okay. So that's the starter. So let's open this. Or is it this one, the main one? Let's see what's in here. Got assets in here. Yeah, this will work. So I got my zip file unzipped over here. And then I'm going to open up Visual Studio Code. And I'm just going to drag this in here. And it cannot be opened because the file is not found. Don't know what that was. Here we go. Alright, so it opened. I don't know what that error was, but let's go in here and see what we got. So we got this git ignore. I can delete that. Preview just shows the design, but we're going to be using that in Figma anyway, so let's just get rid of that. README template. Don't really need that. Really need most of this stuff. I don't need that. Just getting rid of all this junk that we don't need. I suggest, guys, while I'm doing all this, have your text editor open if it's Visual Studio Code or whatever you're using, and just follow. Just do what I'm doing if you're not sure what to do. delete what I'm deleting. Yeah, let's get rid of this. So we got an index HTML where they gave us all of the text for the design. But you know what? I'm starting my own. I don't even want this. This isn't how I like to have my projects, and I'm just doing HTML and CSS, so I'm just going to build it my way. This assets folder, I guess, is okay, but I usually just have it say image, my folders. So, you know, let's do this. I'm going to make an image folder, IMG, and don't need that favicon. That's just the front end mentor logo, so we don't even need that. I'm going to hold shift, select this one, select the last one, and then drag them to my image folder. There they are. I'm just going to get rid of this whole starter code folder because I don't want it. So there, we got all of our images in there. And then I'm going to make a new file. I'm going to make an index.html file. That sounded there good. Just making sure this isn't in the image folder, and it's not, so we're good there. So we got our index.html. And I'm going to make a style.css. And then I'm going to get my boilerplate HTML code. I'm going to hit hold shift and the number 1 on the keyboard where the exclamation mark is at the top. I'm going to hit tab. That gives me all my HTML code. And then we're going to say, for the title of the web page, we'll say skilled e-learning. But before that, let's do this is like a welcome landing page. So let's say welcome, we'll put a pipe and then that. It's more realistic. That's more of like what you would see for this website if it was like a real thing, right? And then above the title, I'm going to do a link tag. I'm just going to type link and hit tab. And then we're going to connect our style.css sheet. So we already have our rel of style sheet automatically from Visual Studio Code. So now in the href, I'm just going to put style.css, hit enter. And then I'm going to do an h1 in the body. And I'm going to do test. And then I'm going to open up this web page with live server. So there we go. If you don't have your live server, if you're new to VS Code, this down here is the live server button. It'll show you your updates to your web page in real time as you save, as you build. And if you don't have that, go to this extensions button, type in live server, and then just download it up here, and then that button will appear. You might have to restart your VS Code, but then you can build projects and have them update automatically. So that's pretty cool. Have your changes update on the web page that you're building, I should say. So let's do this. Let's view our live server page. There it is. So you see we have our test text. And yeah, it's got our title, Welcome Skilled E-Learning, like it should. Let's go to style.css, and I'm going to select the whole page. I'm going to hit shift, asterisk. That's where the number 8 is on the top of the keyboard. There's also the asterisk button. And that means select everything on the page. And I'm going to do a CSS reset because we can see that there's default margin and padding from Google Chrome that we don't want in our in our web page. So I'm going to get rid of that with the CSS reset. I'm going to say margin 0, padding 0, box sizing, border box. Okay. There we go. So that got rid of that, and that tells me, since that worked, that tells me that our style sheet is connected correctly, so that's good. So now that I got that done, I know that my style sheet's working. I'm going to open up Figma on my other screen, that design software, and just open up the design. So just to show you guys what I'm going to be looking at, I'm going to minimize these, and I'll show you what I'm looking at. It's going to be on my other screen. I'm only recording this one screen here that you see, but on my other screen, when you open up the Figma file, you get this page, and this is the design for all devices and active states and everything. And the first slide that you get, make it bigger for you, it just shows like basic styles and typography that are used and colors. So that's all there. I'm going to be using this in something cool called developer mode that's kind of new in Figma. But what it does is when you highlight stuff on the page, it'll give you the colors and the styles over here. So check this out. Just click on it, and then it gives you the CSS here. So if I need that background gradient, I can just like copy it from here. And same thing, I can get the border radius instead of just having to guess. So that's really helpful. That's why I highly recommend that you guys use Figma for this and do what I'm about to do. To get it in this is called developer mode, where you can see the HTML and CSS, is you go to view. Oh, it's here. So you go to view and see how it says open design mode. You can click that, and now it's out of developer mode, so that when I highlight stuff, it's not going to give me the styling and stuff. But go back to view, and then it'll say open dev mode, and that's what you want. Use open dev mode, and then it changes, and then you get the style, so you can make it look exactly like the design in dev mode. Okay, so that's a little hack. I don't know if a lot of people know that. It's kind of new to Figma, I think, but yeah, use dev mode if you're going to use Figma. So that's what I'm looking at, guys. It's going to be on my other screen because I'm only recording the one screen, so just an FYI. But we'll probably revisit it through the video. Alright, guys, so what we're going to do next before we do anything else is we're going to grab the Google font that we need for this design. And according to the Figma file, it's a font called, Plus Jakarta Sans. And it's a Google font. So I'm going to open up another window, type in Google Fonts. We're going to go there. I'm going to click on the, So yeah, we're here. I'm going to click on the shopping bag up here. I'll remove all, and let's type it in together. It's called Plus Jakarta Sans. There it is. Select it. And we need the font weight. So font weights are going to be up here. And we need font weight of extra bold and medium. Extra bold, medium, and bold. Okay. So medium would be 500. We'll do that. And then regular bold 700. And what else? What is it? Extra bold, which is 800. Okay. And just so you know, I'm getting that from the Figma file. Just show you really quick where I'm getting this information from. Let me zoom out. I'm getting it from the design system, the first slide. And I'm zooming in and out of this, guys, with I have a MacBook Pro hooked up to my other two screens, and I'm just using the zoom feature by like moving my thumb and index finger across the touchpad. It just zooms in and out. But if you're on like Windows, just I think you can zoom in and out up here. Yeah, just use that thing or however else. I don't know. I think maybe probably Windows you can do the same thing as I'm doing, but just so you know. So plus Jakarta Sans, extra bold, medium, and bold. That's where I'm getting what I should get. It's from this page right here, okay? So just an FYI, you can either look at that yourself or just trust me. So we got all of our stuff selected. So we need to, we have the link right here. We need to copy this and put it in our HTML. So I'm just going to hit that little copy to clipboard button. And we'll open up this page. And then above my style sheet, style.css link, I'm going to paste that code in. All right. And then we need this font family. The good thing about this landing page is it only uses one font, so it'll just be the font for the whole page. Usually there's like 2 or 3. So we'll just copy this, and that means that we can put that font family into the asterisk area because that selects everything on the page, and that's just telling the whole page like use this font. So that's simple. That's good. So our font should be set up. Let's look at what our font looks like now. I'm just gonna X out of Google Fonts. I don't need it anymore. I got rid of test. Let's say test again. Say H1 test. And now we've got that different font. This is the plus Jakarta Sans font. Okay. So that's that. I think we're all set up. We have our images. All of our images that we'll need here. Oh yeah, that actually makes me think of something. So I noticed that. So these are SVG icons. Those are all fine. Just leave them. But we have the image hero. This is the one that gives everybody a pain in the butt. But they have it in like 3 different ways. They have a PNG, a WebP, another WebP. I don't know why there's so many of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the WebP version. WebP is the best like web photo format, I guess you could call it, to use, because it takes up the least space and it's still a high quality image. So like WebP was started, I think, with Google, and it's slowly just become like the standard. So like on all the blogs that I run and everything that I run, I pretty much just use, and when I create websites, I convert all of them to WebP. So I'm just going to keep all the WebP versions. So like this Image Hero Desktop PNG, it's the same as the WebP one, just a different format. I'm just going to delete that. So it's good practice, guys. Any files that we're not using, just get rid of them, so that our website runs faster and better because it doesn't have to load all these images that we're not going to be using, okay? And then this, I don't know why I just don't know why there's so many versions of this in here. It's kind of silly. So there's like 2 versions of the WebP. I don't know. If you guys have this, just do what I'm doing. Just get rid of what we're not using. And I've never seen this come up like this, but get rid of the PNG for the mobile. We'll keep the mobile WebP. This is another copy of it. Copy of the WebP. There's like multiple copies of everything. It's just silly. Tablet PNG. Get rid of that one. We'll keep tablet WebP. We'll get rid of this one. It's another copy and another copy. And then we have 2 more SVGs, which are just logos. So that's fine. Yeah, we should be good to go. Okay, so we got everything set up. So let's go ahead and start building this thing. Gonna put this back here and let's close all these image tabs that we have open. All right, guys. So now we're gonna get started building the main design here. I'm just gonna reference this desktop design from the front end mentor page so that I don't have to keep dragging that Figma design file over. So first what we're going to do is we're going to build the little navigation here, which is just looks like the dark logo and then a button. So we will go ahead and do that first. Along with, we'll make a couple of like little utility classes and styles that'll be global throughout the whole page. We'll add those as well, okay? So let's make that smaller and pull up our page here. All right, and let's go to style.css, and the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make the body We're going to select the whole body because it has a background which is kind of like a dark gray gradient. It's hard to see here, but this is like an off gray. You can see it more so it's a gradient, so it starts at the top pretty light, and as we scroll down like right around this area it gets darker gray. So that is a background, and I am going to grab that background color from the gradient background from that Figma design by just clicking on the back of the background of the design and copying the background gradient so that I don't have to go to some other website and try to make it myself. So I'm just going to copy it over on my other screen, and it's this right here. So either copy that from the Figma design file with me, how I showed you get to the CSS, or just copy that down, hit the pause video on the button, and that's the correct background for the page. So we just made it here. Let me do that again. So every time I make a change, guys, so again, I'm going to paste that in. Oops. Paste that in. Every time I save on my Mac, I'm hitting the command button and S. This dot up here means you have to save it, so I save it like that. I think it's CTRL and S on PC. If you're on PC, it does the same thing. Or you can go up here and just go to File and Save every time you make a change, and it'll update over there. So you can see our background a little darker, okay? So that's the first thing I want to do. The next thing is I need to make something that will prevent overflow on the x-axis of our page. So x and y axis, x is this way, horizontal, and y is vertical. And we need to hide any overflow by making like a little container for our whole project. You'll know that you get overflow because when you make a design, it'll give you a scroll bar down here, and we don't want that. So we always get a scroll bar when we make an entire web page that allows us to scroll up and down the page. That's also overflow, but that's y-axis overflow, and that's normal and fine. But we don't ever want x-axis overflow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap my whole page in a container. I'm going to call it like a wrapper container. It's all the same terminology. I have a whole video on wrappers and containers and what they are. If you want to go into, just go to my video history and type it in, or just search for it there. It's like I think it's a one-off CSS video about containers. Go ahead and watch that. But I'm gonna make a div with the class of overflow wrapper, we'll call it. So I'm gonna just say I'm gonna use the shortcut. I'm just gonna go dot overflow wrapper and hit tab. And that hitting tab, the dot and overflow dash wrapper tells VS Code, I want a div with the class name of this. And then you hit tab, and then it'll just make a div with that class name. It's just another shortcut for VS Code. And then I'm going to go to back to CSS, and we'll select it. It'll say dot overflow. You know, actually, we're going to copy paste this, make sure we don't get a typo. So let's copy that. I'm going to go Command C or Control C on Mac, or Control C on CTRL C on PC. And I'll put a dot in front of it. Always do that, guys, because you don't want typos. You don't want to think that your stuff isn't working because stuff isn't spelled right. And then I'm going to say overflow X hidden. I don't want any overflow, because what's going to happen is when we push this image over to the corner, like we're supposed to, if we don't have this, it's going to create a scroll bar down here, and it's going to mess up our design. We don't want that, okay? And I'll show you when we do that. We'll take this off really quick just so I can show you all that, but it's really important. And then I'm also going to do position relative to make sure this works as well, okay? So this is one of the things that I kind of had a really hard time with. I built this already the first time because I had to figure this out myself. I didn't want to be like all the other people that just did it wrong. I wanted to actually learn it. And I got stuck on this for a while, but I figured it out eventually. For some reason, when you put this overflow X hidden on the body in CSS, modern browsers don't pick it up correctly, and it might work on some devices, but not on others. So you need to, instead of putting it on the body, it's best practice to just make another div with whatever class name you want, and just put that on the div and wrap it around the whole page, because the modern browsers pick that up no problem. So it's just like a thing with modern browsers, I guess. That's what I found in my research. But we got that. That's important. So we'll leave that there. I'm also going to make a container class that we can use throughout the web page. So I'm going to say dot container. And I'm going to say width 90%. So we'll say max width 1100 pixels. And then we're going to center everything within those parameters by using margin. So we'll say margin left, auto, margin right, auto. And the reason we're making this container class is because, as you can see, all of the content is like centered except for this thing, which it's going to be the only thing that's not within the container. But it's all within its own little container box. All the content has padding on the sides, and it goes in its little box. So that's what our container is going to help us do. Okay. And that way, since we made this class once, this is called like a utility class. You can just use this container class wherever you want throughout the page over and over. Okay. Next, I already know that whenever I make a link, by default, links have they'll have like a purplish color and they'll have underlined text, and we never want that. So I'm just going to say all anchor tags. I want no text decoration on there. And the default color is just going to be black. So we're going to have links, I think, down here, right, where it says get started. These are going to be links, and I don't want them to come out looking like the default, so I'm already just going to do that. And then we'll fix the color when we actually get to that element on the page, but something that's good to do. And then also when we make list items, like this navigation up top and then the navigation in the footer here, I don't want them to have bullet points like when you make a list. So by default, so I'm going to say ul li list style type none for the whole page. So in other words, don't give me those annoying bullet points or whatever other styling you're going to give me. I think that's pretty much it. And these are like the same basic styles, not the overflow wrapper, but the container, the anchor link, this stuff. I pretty much do this on all my projects. I usually get it out of the way right in the beginning because I already know what I'm going to need to do eventually. So set those up, and now let's move into this building the top navigation here. So we got a logo and a button that we're going to build. We'll use Flexbox to make them side by side, and we'll wrap them in that container class so that they have padding on the sides. That's what we're going to do. So let's go here. Go to my HTML. So remember, everything's going to be in our little overflow wrapper so that our page will look good and won't get that scroll bar on the bottom. So let's go below that. And I'm going to go ahead, and since we're doing a navigation, will be semantic. I'll use a nav tag. So I'll say nav, hit tab. And there we go. Every time I do that, guys, when I start typing out an HTML tag, I'm just hitting tab, and that's completing it. So I'm not going to keep repeating that through the rest of the video. All the little shortcuts I do where I hit tab, that's just VS Code, and you can do the same thing, or you can type it all out yourself, okay? So we got nav, and then within the nav, I'm going to use that container class. And then within that, we're going to have our list for the two nav things, for the button and for the logo. So I'm going to say ul, and I'll give it a class of top nav. So I'll say top ul.top nav. And then we're going to have list items in there. So I'll say li. And then within the list items, we're going to have anchor tags, because list items and navigations, they're all links. So we'll do lia. For the href, I'm going to put a placeholder in there because this page really isn't going to go anywhere. It's just kind of like a demo practice design. We're practicing our skills. So I'll just put the hashtag in there that just says, hey, web page. This is just kind of like a dead link. And then within that anchor tag, the first thing we're going to have is that dark logo, this black logo here. So let's say image. Within the link, we're going to say image, I say dot slash, go out of, so that dot slash means go out of one directory, go into another directory, which is also a folder. Go into the image folder, so I'm going to say enter. And then we're looking for logo dark, because that's dark text, and then logo light will be on the footer, I'm guessing. So select that. For the alt text, I'm going to put skilled logo. Let's go to our page before I save. Click back in here. I'm going to save it, and we should see that logo appear. There it is. Very cool. So all of this happened, guys, because we added that. We added the body. What did we add? We added the background for the body, the gradient, so like it's showing up now in a weird way. So for now, we'll go ahead and I'm going to comment it out just for now. We'll bring it back later. When we have more content, it'll fix itself. All right. Next, we got to add the button to our nav. So below this LI with the image, with the logo image, we're going to make the button. So it says get started. So let's do another LI, anchor tag, hashtag, and then within it, we're going to say, over here. Within it, I'm going to use the semantic code for button. So I'll put button. And the class, we'll put a class on this one. And we'll call it dark-btn. It's the dark button. It's going to be darker. And I'll put in between here the text, which is get started. Okay. And that should be all the HTML we need for the nav area. So there we go. We got our skilled, we got our get started button, got our logo. See how it's in the container class that we put it in. We got our padding on the sides like we need. Now we just got to put them side by side with CSS, style up our button, and bring it down a little bit. So let's get that done. So I'm going to go to my style sheet now, and I'm going to leave a comment by hitting Command and question mark, or CTRL question mark on PC, I think. And that gives me the shortcut for a CSS comment. And then I'm going to put navigation in between the comments, just so I can see that, like, when I'm going through my code, hey, my navigation starts right here. So these are all like our global styles and then navigation code. So let's make this nice and big. We'll make it like a little divider. Keep our code nice and organized. Now we're going to go and we're going to select this our top nav UL, which is this right here. We'll say .top nav. And we're going to say display flex, align items center, and justify content, space between. So space between says, hey, put these as far apart from each other as you can. And since we have a container, it's only going to go that so far, but they'll be pretty far apart. So space between. And I'm going to go ahead and save. And there they are. So if we make the page bigger, good. That looks exactly like it should. Now we just got to bring this down a little bit, because in the design, there's some margin or padding here. So we'll go ahead and do that. So let's say margin top 1 rem. There we go. All right, so we'll do margin top 1 rem and save, and that brought it down. So looks like the design, right? Good enough. Let's go ahead and style our button over here. So we gave that thing a class of dark BTN. So copy that. Now what I'm doing, guys, to get the exact styling for this thing, to make it look like this, make it bigger here. To make it look like this, I'm looking at Figma now, and I've got this selected, and all the styles are showing up on the right here. So I'm going to be copying a lot of those, and then adding a couple other things to it. So just follow along, get it looking good. So we're going to say the color, meaning the color of the text in the button, is white. So I'm just going to put white. We'll save, and you can see it just changed to white. And then the background color is that dark, like, I don't know, blue color, I guess. And that is hex code 13183F. There's our dark background. So as you can see, we're slowly making this thing. It's got a width on it. The button has a width of 167 pixels and a height of 56 pixels. So save. There we go. Now it's bigger. And it's got, you can see that there's kind of like a dark border around it by default on buttons. So we're going to take that away. We'll say border none. And then it's got a border radius on it, meaning that there's some curves on the edges that are curved. And the border radius is 28 pixels. Okay, cool. Now it's pretty much looking like it should. And then it's got some, if you look at the design, I don't know if it'll show here, but it's got a slight little bit of what we call shadowing, or it's called box shadow in CSS. So we're going to add that. The box shadow, what is it, like property or whatever. So I'm going to copy that box shadowing from the Figma file and paste it in here and save. You can pause the video and do the same, or just copy that. And as you can see, I gave it a little bit of shadowing down here. Let's see. The font size for the text should be 18 pixels on desktop, so I'll say 18 pixels. And then the font weight is 700, so it's bold. Again, getting all this information from the design file. And we'll give it a cursor pointer. So that'll give us the pointer when we hover over it like that. Okay. And then in the design, I'll just show you. Oops. I'm going to minimize these really quick and bring Figma over. Again, so just to reiterate, I'm getting my styling for that button up here. Just clicking this. And a lot of the width and the height and everything are all coming over here. And then I'm getting the text styling by clicking on the text, the font size. Everything I just told you is just showing up right here, guys. So, oh yeah, so this is the top left corner. This is showing me desktop. But then there's also desktop active. So that means like hover over buttons, the active states. What does it look like? So as you can see, we'll just add it now while we're here. When we hover over this, it's just supposed to get lighter. And I'm going to do opacity for that. So I'll show you how to do that, a little hover effect. So I'm going to bring Figma back over now. I don't know if I'm going to bring it back over again. But just showing you where I'm getting all this stuff from, guys. Not just pulling these styles out of thin air. Here we go. Okay, so let's do our active state. So to do that, we have to use a property called transition. And then for this, I'm going to say opacity because that's what we're going to be transitioning. Say 0.2 seconds. I want it to take 0.2 seconds long, and I want it to ease into an animation. And now below this, so we're going to copy dark button, and we're going to use the hover pseudo selector. So that is : dark button : hover. And then we're going to say opacity 0.8. Opacity means what it's used for is to make stuff more see-through, but it also has this effect where it makes like dark stuff lighter. So I use it for hover states a lot. So when I hover over it, this should go to a light color in the background. So let's see. And it does. See how it eases in? That's our transition. So that's that. Okay. And opacity works fine for that. They might want you to use like a background color for that instead, but opacity works fine. So I'm just going to use that. Okay. So that's that. What else? So what I'm going to do now, guys, that we got this little nav area done, this little navigation area, is I like to make each section of the website, I break it down into small sections as I build, and I make the thing desktop all the way down to mobile responsive all at the same time. so that I don't get done with the whole desktop version of a web page and then have to go back to the whole entire page and make it mobile responsive. I hate that. I don't know how people work that way. A lot of people teach that, or they teach the whole mobile first, where you're supposed to make the mobile version first and then work your way up. Again, that's not logical to me. So if you're new, I suggest you pick up the habit of what I do. If you're building stuff with pure HTML and CSS, and like just start big and work your way down each little section of the page. Don't save the whole thing for later. You're gonna want to hurt yourself trying to make it all mobile once, because the whole design's gonna break when you collapse it down. You're not even gonna know where to start. So let's go ahead. This little nav area, luckily there's not too much we have to fix. Maybe just make a few things smaller on some screen sizes. But as you can see, this is like the tablet design, which it looks the same. I don't think maybe we changed the font size of a button or something. And then the mobile version, on some smaller screens, we got to make the button and everything a little bit smaller. Okay. So let's just do that now before we get too deep into this thing and have a million things to make mobile. So I am going to go down to the bottom here and give some space. I'm going to do another comment. Now, let's just copy our other comment so that everything's the same size. Copy my navigation comment, paste it here. I'm going to say media queries, because that's what we use to make stuff responsive. So this is the start of our responsiveness. This is the start of our media queries, okay? And we will, for the sake of just that little nav area, we only have to change a couple things. And that's really only going to be for like smaller screens. So let's do... And it's only for the ultra small screens, I think. Yeah. So I'm going to do a media query. And let me show you why we have to do this. So let's make this big. Go to inspect. I'm going to right click, hit inspect. Go to down here in the left corner is the mobile mode. Select devices here. And we can see, let's just go to like an iPhone X. This still looks okay. It looks a little big, but it looks okay, right? But when we get down, so this is a 375 pixel screen width. But when we get down to like a Galaxy S9 Plus or a lot of the Samsung Galaxies, this 320 pixel screen, the button looks too big. They both look a little too big, but mostly the button. And then there's even smaller screens that are sold. What is it? It's the Galaxy Fold. Doesn't even fit on the screen. This is like one of those phones that folds open. There's stupid little things that people are buying. It's 280 pixels, so that's way too small. So we got to fix it for those two devices, really. That's pretty much it. Everything else, like a Galaxy S5, which I think is an old phone. But these devices, guys, I have a lot of old devices on here because the screen size is still consistent with a lot of Samsung phones today. So it's just really those two phone models. So we want to develop this design for as many to be responsive on pretty much all devices, especially all mobile devices if we can. So we're just going to do this little thing here. So let's go to the S9 Plus and make this small. And let's make a media query for that. So I'm going to say at media screen and comma or parentheses max width colon 320 pixels, and I'll make our curly braces. So this little piece of code says all screen sizes 320 pixels and below. These are the rules for that area. Okay. And we're going to take our dark button. So dot dark BTN. So that's our nav button right here, right? And I'm going to make it a little smaller. So I'm going to say width 130 pixels. And then height, let's just say 40 pixels, and we'll hit save and see how that looks. That looks a lot better on this screen size. Now the font's too big, though, so let's say font size. Let's make that font size smaller, say 14 pixels. And that looks better, okay? So just that little fix made this little nav area look way better on small screen size phones. So let's try the Galaxy Fold. Yeah. So that looks good enough for me. Could probably make it a little smaller for the Fold if I wanted to, but that's passable. The market share for the Galaxy Fold, I I know some people own it. I don't think it's like millions and millions of people like iPhones. So that's good enough anyway, right? So that's pretty much it. All the other phones and devices, like a Moto G Power, all the other regular devices, this little nav area will look fine with the desktop styling. So even the fold, when you turn it, it gets bigger. You unfold it or whatever. Oh, so you can unfold it to 512. That's interesting. But unfold it again. So yeah, looks good. If it works on a Galaxy Fold, everything else is going to look good. So iPhone 12, iPhone Pro Max 14. Looks good. So we're good there. So just taking that little time out just saved us a ton of time later. Trust me. So let's move on to the next section of the website, guys. So we have, let's go to our image. All right, now we're going to do I'll call this the hero section. So we're going to have hero text. We'll have a class that's probably called hero text. We'll have the button for the hero. Then we'll hit this thing. It's a pain in the butt. We'll do this for desktop, and then on down to tablet. We'll make it all responsive like we did here right away. So I think this messed a lot of people up that tried it because, like I said, this style of the design really only works well on super widescreen monitors, which I don't have super widescreen monitors, but I have 2 external monitors hooked up to my laptop that are like 25, 26 inches each. And then I'm able to test this on other laptops because my girlfriend has a Lenovo and I have a MacBook Pro with like 13-inch. She has a Lenovo like 14 or 15-inch, which is those are the most common sizes for laptop screens. And I could actually like test how this looks on all the devices in real life without just using emulators. And for even large tablets, and then which are like an iPad Pro has a bigger screen than a MacBook Pro 13, I think, pixel wise. And this only works well for like widescreen desktop. So that's why I pretty much made only, we'll see in the media queries, I think it's like 1500 pixels and up. This is what it looks like. And then everything below that, it's just the tablet design for this, just to save a lot of grief. And you'll run into this, guys. I don't think I've done too many other designs ever that have been this much of a pain in the butt where I've had to make this decision like this. But if you get a job as a developer, or you're freelancing or whatever, and sometimes when you work with designers, they don't understand the limits of CSS because they're not developers. But sometimes you got to like tone people's designs down or make certain decisions just to make the job doable, basically. And this is one of those times. Okay, again, this is just practice on Front End Mentor, but if you're a developer out there in the real world, you're going to run into stuff like this sometimes if you're working with a team of designers that just want to make super creative things without thinking about the struggles of the developer making it in code. So, all right, enough talking, but again, that's the reason I keep coming back to this, because I just saw from other people's examples that had trouble with it. So let's go and make that area that I said, I think we'll call it the hero area. So let's go below here and let's make a section. Make a section tag, and we'll give this area we'll give it an ID of hero. Okay. And then within there, we're going to use our container utility class again. So their stuff's in a container. And then below the container, we'll have another div where I can put everything in so I can flex the text and the image. So we'll call that the hero content container. All right, and then within my hero content container, I'm going to have a div called hero text. That'll have all of the text, all of this like text right here with the button. And then we'll make another div for the image, okay? So let's just go below it for now, and I'll have a div, and we'll call it hero desktop image. And then we can just put the image in here now. So let's just say image // go to my images folder. Let's image hero desktop.webp. And we'll just say in the alt text hero desktop image save. And there it is. So that'll be there first. And once we get our stuff in here, we're going to flex everything. And then I'm going to use negative margins to push this thing over and up to the corner. Okay? So I'll show you how I do that. Let's go into our hero text. So now we're going to build out this portion of it. We already have our image added. We're going to do this big title, this little paragraph under here, and the button in our hero text, okay? So let's get that started here. So let's say we'll make that text an H1, and it says maximize skill, comma, minimize budget. Okay, there it is. And then below that, we'll have a paragraph. And I'm just going to, I don't want to type everything out. I'm just going to copy it from the Figma design. You can pause and type it out if you want. But in the paragraph, I'll paste this. It says, our modern courses across a range of in-demand skills will give you the knowledge you need to live the life you want. So this is like a landing page for like a Udemy, probably, right? It's like a fake Udemy kind of type company. They have a bunch of courses. All right, then underneath the paragraph, we will have the button, and we'll wrap that in like in a link, in an anchor tag, because it'll theoretically be a link if it was a real website that takes you to like a purchase page or something like that. So let's say a anchor tag, put another hashtag in there. It's not going anywhere. Then within it, we'll say button. And then we'll give this button a class of hero btn. So hero button. And then it has the same text as the other button. It just says get started. Okay. And then I believe, yeah, it's got a lot of the same styles as the other buttons, so we're going to be copying and pasting and then just changing a few things. But yeah, so there's all of our HTML. There's our text. That's good to go. So now we'll go down, we'll head into our CSS, and we will make it how it's supposed to look here. So I'm going to copy this navigation comment again, go below here, paste this in, and we're going to say hero, I guess. It's our hero area. And I'm going to select the hero content container, and we're going to use that container to flex the stuff so that instead of on top of each other, it's side by side. Okay. So for this part, it's going to be kind of difficult to show you as we build it. I'll just keep having to go to full screen. That's okay. But yeah, you'll see it update here though. It's just going to be a little scrunched up, which is fine. So let's say dot paste hero content container. We'll say display flex, align items center, justify content, space between. So see how they went side by side now? So this is what it looks like on the big screen. Okay. And then we're going to start styling up the hero text. So I'm going to say dot hero text h1, and the color of it is that same dark color as the button, so it's this 13183F. And then the font size for desktop is 56 pixels. Again, I'm getting all this from the Figma design. And the font weight is 800 pixels, so we'll say font weight 800. Okay. So that's how it's supposed to look. It's just a little scrunched up, but we'll fix all that. Okay. Now we're going to do hero text paragraph. So let's copy this hero text P. And we'll style that up. So the text for paragraph has a color of hashtag 838. It's like a light gray. So hashtag 83869A. There we go. So we saved and that changed it to that like light grayish color. Let's say font size is 18 pixels. Font weight is 500, so I'll make sure it's 500. Line height of 28 pixels. So line height is like the space top and bottom between words in a paragraph. Okay, so that's what that did, just made it more readable. And then it's got some. See how it's sucked up here? It's got margin on the top. See how it's spaced out? So we'll give it some margin on the top and bottom. So we'll say margin. Say margin top 2 rem. And there we go. Now we got some space. So instead of pixels, I used rem there, guys. Just know that 1 rem is equal to 16 pixels. So 2 rem would be 32 pixels. Okay. I like to use rems for stuff like that. Now let's go ahead and style up this button here. Whoops. Style up this button. Oh, it's because I'm clicking and it's taking me to this is we have the hashtag and there's just taking me to the top of the page. But so let's grab that. We put a class on that of hero button. So let's copy that. And we'll go down, let's say dot hero btn. And we'll go ahead and I'm actually going to copy, like I said, a lot of the styles from this other button. And we'll just change like the background to what it's supposed to be. So I think, yeah. So let's go ahead and grab this. And we'll paste that in there. Okay, so now we got the same button as the other one, but if we look at the design, this other button has like a little rainbow gradient background. So we'll add that. I'm going to get that code from the design, so I don't have to guess. Making gradients by hand is like a big pain in the butt, so I don't want to do it. Not going to do it. I'm just going to select this, copy. So I'm going to delete this background, paste that in there. That's the gradient color that we need. We'll save, and there it is. Oh, we gotta love Figma, right? So there's that. And what else? I think everything else is pretty much the same. I guess it says this is 53 pixels tall, so that's like a little difference. Yeah. What else? Border radius. So this one has a border radius of 31 pixels. That's a little slight difference. Anything else? I don't think so. We'll give it some margin on the top. So let's go like right here. Say margin top 2 rem. There we go. And then let's see. This button also has a hover state. Let me just check on what that is. So again, it's kind of like the same, but it's got like a hover gradient kind of, I think. So let's try this. So we'll do the same transition here. So I'm going to put transition, background, 0.2 seconds, ease in. And then we'll do hero button hover again. Alright guys, so we got hero button hover, and now I'm going to copy the background color that's supposed to be on hover, because it's like another weird gradient. So, let me just copy that. Look at all that code. Who wants to write that? And let's hover and see if it works. Yep, it's just making it lighter. So, There we go. That's good to go. Alright guys, so we got our buttons all situated with the hover state in our hero area. So now what we have to do is get this where it belongs over in the corner here and up. So if we look at the design, it's like pushed over off the screen, because we can see that it's like circular up here. So it's pushed off to like here, and then it's up in the corner. So to do that, we're going to do negative margin is what I'm going to use. And that's where our little container, if you remember earlier, I set up that overflow wrapper, right? Made the X axis, the one that goes horizontally. I made any overflow hidden, because pushing this thing off the screen like that is going to cause what's called overflow, and we're going to get this kind of a scroll bar down here. But we fixed that with that little wrapper. But I'll take the wrapper off to show you what I'm talking about too. So let's go ahead and push this over, and then we'll fix the text too, because this is a little scrunched up, but we'll fix that as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my style.css, and first let's just select hero desktop image. So let's copy this class, go to my style.css, and I'll go under the hero button, put my dot for the class selector, and paste that in. And we're going to do margin right, and I'll just say -1 rem for now. And we'll do margin top, -15 rem. Okay. So that moved it a little bit when I saved. But so yeah, you can use negative margins, guys, to move stuff around. I find that it's better to use negative margins for stuff like this than using position and relative position absolute, because it just stays in place better. So yeah, that's why I'm using negative margins here. I'm a negative margin fan. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to make the screen big, and we're going to go to inspect. I'm going to right click, go to inspect, get out of mobile view. I want to view my actual screen, and then I'm going to click on the far left coin, the selector, and I'm going to select our image that we're moving, and then we should be able to see the CSS for it here. Let's see, it's right here. Right here. Okay. And now I'm going to select my margin right, and I'm going to use my up and down arrows on my keyboard to move this image around to where I want it. So I'm going to go down. There we go. And we're going margin right, and see how this is also, by using that negative margin right, it's pushing this over here, and it's giving our text more room to breathe, okay, which is good. So let's keep going over. I'm going to go to -33 rem, because that's about where it's cut off on the design photo. So let's go ahead. Remember, when we're using Google Developer Tools, guys, that this code isn't saving. It's just giving us a preview of what we're doing. So we've got to go into our actual text editor code and put that value in and save, so that the value saves. So we want this to be -33 rem. And then we want, oh, did I already put 15? My bad. So let's restart. We'll put -1 for margin top. And again, I'm going to select the margin top, and we're going to go down on the arrow key, up. And about -15 rem is where it should be to look like the design. So let's go save that in there, and then we'll compare the design to what we have. There we go. So let's make it full screen. Get rid of the developer tools, and that looks pretty good. It looks pretty close to the design for desktop. Again, putting this up in the corner like this is a pain in the butt, and I would only recommend this for like a widescreen desktop. Not ultra widescreen, but widescreen. So widescreen desktops are like 1500 pixels and up. So just to show you that, let's go to inspect again, and And then, so we minimize the window. Now I'm just going to, you can see like in the top right hand corner here, pay attention because it'll show you how big the pixel window is, okay? So how wide it is. So for the monitor I'm on, if I keep going, see it in the top right, it's adjusting all the way over. I'm at 1536 pixels. So that's about as wide as the screen is. I mean, it'll still work. Let's see where it still works. It'll work. I mean, it's still same put for the most part. But see, it starts getting sloppy around 1400 pixels. So if you're developing this on like a smaller monitor, like a laptop, like a 13-inch MacBook Pro like I have, or 14, 15-inch laptop, which is like the standard size nowadays, doing this is going to be harder for you. So what I would do is I would set up a media query for like, let's see, where's the cutoff? Probably like right here. I'd set up a media query for 1407 pixel width. So 1407 pixels wide. That's like the cutoff to where this would still work pretty well. And then develop it in the mobile view on your developer tools so that you can get it looking good. So to do that, really quick, you can click on the mobile thing, the mobile icon down here in the bottom left. And I would go to edit. And then I think I already have a widescreen monitor. So you can add custom device and you could just type in like widescreen desktop or something like that. You can honestly just type in like desktop monitor. Monitor, if I can spell. And then you can make it like 1500 pixels wide. And then how tall? Let's see, I don't think the tallness really matters as much. I'll check that out in a second. Let's say like 900 pixels. And then instead of see where it says mobile here, make it desktop. And then you can just click add. And then it should be in your devices now. So now we have desktop monitor. And then you can see what it looks like. Before I do that, I want to see how tall that my monitor actually is in pixels. I think I said 900. Let's see. See if I was right. See if I'm close. So, no, 532, that's not accurate because this thing's in the way. So, yeah. Probably like 750. See that in the far right corner, it says 714. So, and that's because this is in the way. It's not counting this area. So, it's probably like 750 or more, closer to 800. So, call it like 780. So, let's go back and adjust that. Let's go click on our devices, edit, desktop monitor, and we'll say like 800. Save. Now we can view it, what it would actually look like on my monitor if I didn't have it. And see, it's a little off too, to be honest, because we know what it looks like on my device. Well, I think this is like 1530, so it's a little wider, but anyway, guys, this is a way to where if you're developing on a small screen and you want to get your design as accurate as possible on devices that you don't own, this is a way that you can like find out. You can maybe Google search how many pixels wide and tall the screen is, and then make your own little custom devices to test on and using the Google developer tools. It's not going to be perfect. It's a little buggy, to be honest, but it's better than nothing, and it'll get you pretty close to where it should be. So this 800 might be off. We might be off, dude, because we know on my actual screen it looks like this. It looks good. So we're a little off on pixels, but you can play with it. It's better than nothing, okay? This doesn't have to be perfect. Again, if you're a new developer, if you're doing this just to practice or maybe put this on a portfolio, like it'll be good enough. But if you are getting paid for work, you should make it all your stuff on as many devices as possible look pretty good. So that's just a little skill that hopefully you just learn for the first time, and yeah. But so that looks good though on widescreen, so we're gonna keep that there. what we're going to do now is we're going to fix the width of our text. So this H1 looks okay. See, if we look at the design, the width of the text is supposed to be like that, and then for the paragraph it's supposed to be like that. So this is a little too wide, so we're going to fix the width of the paragraph on a desktop screen. So, and when I say desktop screen, that's just like the default screen size that we're developing for before we use media queries, right? So let's go ahead and we'll minimize, see if I can minimize this window here, or make it smaller again. You know, I actually have to make it big because I got to see how. So looking at the design, we're supposed to have the life you want on its own line down here. So let's just make that happen. So I'm going to go to my style.css and I'm going to put that up here in the hero text P. So I'm going to change the width of this to 65% of the window, and that should give us what we want. You need to live the life you want. So that's a little too... the width on that needs to be fixed because we're just supposed to have the life you want on the end. So let's go to inspect and get out of mobile view. I'm going to use the selector, click on my paragraph, and I'm going to use my arrow keys to adjust this up and down. So live up, 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 up. Is the life you want supposed to be on the bottom? Yeah, the life you want. So there, 76%. So let's go put that and save that in our code. There we go. And then that pretty much, as far as desktop goes, that's pretty much very close to the design, guys. So I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah. Looks good. Close enough. All right. So what we're going to do now is we'll make this part, this hero part, mobile responsive. Okay. So let's hop in and adjust our media queries here. And we're going to also be pasting in multiple different versions of this image to make this responsive, okay? Because we've got to make this look good on smaller tablet and laptop screens and mobile as well. Mobile is a whole different image. So, and then the tablet version of this image is much smaller. This is like a huge image for desktop. So let's hop in. And what we're going to do, I'm going to go to my HTML. And I'm actually going to paste in below our desktop image. I'm going to paste in the tablet version. So let's say hero, we'll call it hero tablet image. And then we'll go down here and we'll put in the tablet version of it. So image hero tablet.webp. And then we'll change our alt text to tablet image. And now 2 images should be appearing now. See, there's the, like how much smaller the tablet image is and the smaller screen one. So now what we have to do is we have to make sure that this image does not appear on desktop. So we'll do that in our CSS using the display property. So let's just go ahead and go to our HTML, go to hero tablet image, and we'll select it here in our desktop code. And we're just going to say display none. Don't want that to show up on desktop. Okay. So let's make sure that that worked. And it's gone. Okay. And then same thing when we get down to the tablet, smaller screens, we'll make our desktop image appear, display none, and we'll make that image appear. And then same thing for mobile. Okay. So that's how you can kind of adjust stuff with HTML and CSS on screen size by using the display property. And that's going to be done a lot with a lot of designs that you build. If you're just building like front end stuff, that you'll be doing that little trick a lot. All right, so let's see what kind of media queries we have. So all we had to do for our little nav bar was set up a smaller navigation area for smaller screens for phones. So we have other screens that we're going to have to do now to get this thing to like how it's supposed to, because just looking at the design. So that's desktop, and then on tablet, this is down here more. It's not up in the corner, and they're kind of just more side by side. So we'll just pretty much be using the negative margin right again, just to move this over and then bring it down. It's not gonna so that'll be easier to position. So since we don't have to keep it up in the corner, and then on mobile, we have our text and then the image. So yeah, let me check out the Figma really quick, because on Figma, I thought that the image was actually first for mobile. Let me see. No, it is the text first. Okay. So we'll fix that. We'll make that how it should be when the time comes. But yeah, so let's do the smaller screen size here. Like I get this as tablet, but again, like I said, this is like all smaller screens that aren't big desktop screens, basically. It's not just tablet. So I'm going to make some more media queries. So let's make a media query above here. And I'm just going to copy this media query code because I don't want to write that out again. And I'm going to make a max width. I'm going to make some styles for 1400 pixels and up screens. So this is getting into like basically the iPad Pro, which is like close to 1400 pixels. So this will be for like large tablets and larger laptop monitors is what this will be for. And we're going to do, we'll do hero because we don't want on smaller screens, we don't want this image there. We want the smaller tablet image. So, because it doesn't look right. This would be like a small screen right here, and we can see this just doesn't, it's too big. So let's do hero tablet image or hero desktop image. Let's display that none. So I'm going to grab this, copy it, and I'm going to delete these two. I'm just going to say display none. So this should disappear. Now it's gone. And now we're going to display the hero tablet image. So let's display that block down here. So change display none to block. Bam, there it is. That looks better. And then let's see where that is now. Pretty good. Oh, that's not it. My bad. So we got to actually go to inspect, right click inspect, and we'll go to the iPad Pro widescreen, because this is pretty much what that 1400 max width pixel is designing for. Okay, because I want it to look good on the iPad Pro widescreen, just because Apple products are so like popular that for all Apple products, I especially make sure that stuff looks good, just because like they're probably the most popular, right, as far as tablets and smartphones go. At least in the western part of the world, right? So we'll do that. So we got that displaying there. And now we're going to do the hero tablet image. We'll use margin right, margin top again to make it look where it should go. So let's just copy these and paste them in to that media query to give us a starting point. And as you can see, it's up too high and over way too far. So we'll adjust that. We'll get our selector out again, and we'll select this right here, the hero tablet image container. And I'm going to select these and use my arrow keys up and down to fix it. So margin right needs to go back this way. We'll say, I like that, so we'll say negative 23 rem. Margin right, so we'll save that in. And now we got to bring this down to where I think the text is like centered with this. So we'll select our margin top, and we'll go down, down, down to -6. That looks good. So I'll change my code to -6 rem. Save. And now that's saved in there, and I like that. Now we got to fix our text, because now our text isn't the correct width, because it's supposed to still stack like this, pretty much the same way as it did on desktop. So we can change that. So let's go ahead and we'll select I'm going to copy the hero text stuff that we have up here, because we pretty much have to do the paragraph and the H1. So let's do that. And we'll bring it down. And I'm going to put it above our images because we want our styles to kind of go in the order of the HTML how it appears on the page. So these are above the image. So we'll do it that way. And then what do we need to change here? We can pretty much keep the color and the size and all that because the screen is still pretty big. But we'll change our width so that this stacks. And we'll go to like 80%. And now that stacks how it should. So that's good. 80% is good. And then our hero text has too much width. We need to have it stack. So I'm going to delete all this stuff because I don't need to change any of it. We'll just everything that I'm deleting, guys, is because the styles on the style sheet will just come down and it'll still be on these, and we don't need that code there again because it's already saved up here. Okay. So we'll change our width to our paragraph to like, we'll say 50% because it looks like it's bleeding over pretty good. And that looks pretty good. Looks better. Maybe we can make it like a little bigger, like 60. There we go. Look at that. That actually looks perfect. The life you want. So yeah, that's pretty good. We'll keep it like that for, again, this media query is pretty much just for the iPad Pro, to be honest. But yeah, I like how that looks for bigger tablets, which the iPad Pro is like the biggest screen tablet on the market, I believe. So let's go ahead and we'll go down to smaller size tablets that we'll develop for now. So the next one is like, they're around like 1200 pixels. And so like the Nest Hub Max is 1280, for example. And this doesn't look too bad, but we can probably fix it up a little bit. So let me copy this media query here. And we could probably just like adjust the image a little bit. Like where the image is. We can probably make it come over a little bit more because that looks too close to the edge now. So copy that down, and we'll say this max width is going to be 1280 pixels. And then we'll select our hero tablet image up here and just copy the code down. Save. And I like where it's at, but I just want to bring it over more, so that'll just be the margin right that we're going to be changing. So we can get rid of these two pieces of code here. And then we'll bring this over a little more. So instead of 23, I'll say like 20 rem, and that should make this pop over more. Perfect. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Maybe 21. Just because I don't want it on this bigger screen. This is like kind of an awkward screen. I just don't want this super sucked over to the corner. I want it out more just so this spacing looks kind of awkward. So we'll stick with 20. I just don't want too much space there. So that's good. It doesn't look exactly like the design, but remember, this is just like showing a small tablet, and there's a lot larger tablets out there. So we just kind of have to use our own judgment, right? So that's good. I'm happy with that. Paragraph looks good. Our H1 looks good. Let's go down, and the next screen size is like 1024 for tablets, and that's for like the regular Nest Hub is 1024, along with the BlackBerry Playbook tablet, which is popular, is 1024, and then iPad Mini or iPad, when you turn it, is 1024. So again, really popular. So let's go ahead and we'll make a max width media query just for that screen size of 1024. So I know this is kind of tedious, guys, but this is just kind of stuff that you have to do if you're going to make a design. If you're going to make it with raw HTML and CSS and you're going to do it right, for designs like this, you're going to have media like for certain sections, not necessarily for all sections, but for this more complicated area, you're going to have several media queries to get stuff positioned correctly. It's just kind of how it is, man. But that's part of web development. It's not that big of a deal. So the only thing that I kind of want to fix here would be probably just the text, because now it's not stacking really correctly. So this is the iPad area. So our text is a little bunched up. So let's fix that. Let's do the H1. So we'll do hero text H1. And we'll be changing the P too. So let's just copy both of these. And let's make this wider. There we go. That's how it should look, I believe. Yep. And then make this a little wider, I think. Maybe 70%. Maybe 65. Let's see. Let's select it. Let's stop guessing. Let's use our selector. And we're into the CSS, but we got to pay attention to make sure that we're on the right media query. So we're at 1024. Here we are. And I just need to go. There we go. Live the life you want. Oops. So maybe make it a little wider. There we go. 55%. I like it. Cool. So that looks good. Make sure it looks good on all of them. It should, because they're all the same, right? And again, this is like landscape for tablets. Yeah. iPad Pro 1024 looks not as good because it's got that awkward height. It's like super long, but I think most people hold it like this. So, right? Like you would hold it in the widest possible setting, I'm guessing. I don't know. Not too worried about that. That still looks, I mean, it's readable. Is it as pretty as it should be? No, but it's readable, and we don't want to go too overboard just developing for this device because these are pretty expensive, and who knows how many people own them. I think these are like as expensive as like a MacBook Pro, so you might as well buy the MacBook Pro, in my opinion. iPad Air, it looks okay. Not at the 820, but we'll have another media query for that. Don't worry about that. iPad Mini, this is probably the most popular one, and that looks great. Then we'll have another media query for this view. What else? Nest Hub looks good. And then the Surface Pro, this is the Microsoft Surface. Looks pretty good. All right. So our next media query we're going to make is going to be kind of for like the Surface Pro at 912 pixels and like bigger iPhones. So the iPhone 14 Pro Max, when you turn it this way, it's 932 pixels wide. So if people were to turn their phone in landscape, you still want it to, again, look like it's as close to the design as you can. So we'll go ahead and make another media query we'll make it for 932 because that's like the biggest landscape device, and it'll also, the styles should carry over to like the Microsoft Surface and all that. So let's say max width 932 pixels. And we'll change what we have to change here. So for our hero text, we will make it maybe like 100% width. There we go. That works. And then for our paragraph, we'll make that a little wider because it's a little too scrunched up. So let's jump to 80%. That looks good. Looks better. What about like 90? Might be too much. About 95. There we go. That looks like the design more. Okay. Yeah, that looks pretty good. That's for 932, so that'll be for that, and then the Surface Pro 7. Looks okay. Yeah, it looks alright. Maybe we could tweak it more for the Surface Pro, because how many people are gonna view this on the 14 Pro Max in landscape? Like the only time I have landscape on my smartphone is when I'm watching like a YouTube video and I want full screen. I'm assuming most people are the same way. So But then again, this is already at 100%, so there's not much we can do because this is already at 95. So maybe just make this 100. There, we'll just keep it there, and we'll live with that. Again, it still looks good, guys. It doesn't look exactly like pixel perfect to the design, but there's so many screen sizes out there that that's just not going to happen, to be honest. But it still looks pretty good on both orientations. So let's move on. The next one that we'll do like another media query for smartphones and landscape mode, and also for like the iPad mini, because it's like or not the mini, sorry, the Air. The Air is at like an awkward thing of like 1180 pixels and then 820. So I think most people probably use like the 820 view unless they're watching a video. So let's make it, and then that 820 will also cover like the majority of the other smartphones out on the market, to where when you turn them to the side, like it's between like 700 and 850 pixels or something like that. So it'll also the styles will carry over and make this look pretty good too. Or maybe we'll just do another media query. Who knows? But let's go down. Copy our media query code. Oops. And we will make this like, we'll say 850 pixels. Okay. And then this is really targeting the iPad Air, I believe. Yeah. Make sure that this looks good on there. So what do we want to do is probably adjust the image and our text again, like the widths and where they're positioned. So let's go. Oh, I think we already have 100%, right? So that might be as good as it gets on that screen, but we could probably adjust the image. Let's see, to be over a little bit more. So let's select our image right here. Oops, not there. Right here. Hero tablet image, and let's bring it down here. And let's knock this down to like 17. 15. It's not moving. Wonder why. Let's see. Select this hero tablet image. Yeah, you know, this is not moving at all because the screen width and where stuff can be is just kind of maxed out just based on the width of the screen. So that's okay. And because we have our container. So we will let that be for now. It's just going to look a little scrunched up on the iPad Air, but when you turn it, it'll look better. But again, this is like an awkward screen size, so I'm not... And again, it still looks good. Like the average person looking at this they wouldn't bat an eye. They'd just be like, oh, cool, whatever. They don't know what the design looks like. So I guess we'll just keep those there because we already have this 100% and this 100%, and that's going to carry down here. So for this media query, we will leave it alone for now. I'm just going to comment it out. But we'll probably use it for like the other sections, like for this course box section. We might have to use it for, or maybe the footer. We'll see. Let's do the next one down. Well, actually, let's see how this looks on iPad mini, which is like the original iPad. That actually looks good. That's called the iPad mini now, but this was like the iPad dimensions for the regular iPads forever. So that looks fine. Happy with that. All right. 744. So what we're going to have to decide now is where our cutoff is going to be for mobile design. So all mobile phones like Samsung Galaxies and normal iPhones like iPhone X. Obviously, this isn't going to work. So we got to go to that mobile style, which looks like this, where everything is just stacked, and then we have a different image in here all together. And then we haven't gotten to this yet. We'll get to this though. So text first, then this new image for mobile. So I'm going to say that we're going to make, see, 812, this still looks okay. So I'm going to make the cutoff for like all of the all the rest of the designs, whether they're in portrait or landscape on a smartphone, are gonna be the mobile design. And we're gonna make that cutoff because this is a little I mean, this is legible, I guess. So, well, we can make the cutoff like, let's just try a couple other phones, like 739 pixels, I guess would be fair. And then we'll go mobile down from there, just judging off of that last phone. Because like, yeah, we'll say 739 because that last phone was 740 and it looked okay. This is what was this? One of the Pixels or something? The Pixel 2. Again, this Pixel 2 might not even be that popular. We'll say 740 and below, dude. That sounds good. Just based off that phone I just saw. So let's copy this in here. Say 740 and down. You're going to be mobile. Just going to show the mobile. All right, guys. So to do that, we have to add our mobile image to our HTML. So let's get that done. So let's copy our tablet image down right below it. We'll add the hero mobile image. And then add it here, the actual image. Image hero mobile WebP. And then we'll say hero mobile image in here. And now let's make the screen big, and then we'll have like a random mobile image that we have to hide. So we'll hide this mobile image on everything but that media query that I just put on. So let's do that. Select hero mobile image. And we'll go up, up, up. And we'll say, go to our desktop code, and we will make it disappear here. So that'll make it disappear everywhere until we say not to. So we'll say display none. And then let's copy both of these, bring them down to our media query, our 740. And now we want to get rid of hero tablet image and display hero mobile image block. And what happened? This is still showing up on desktop. Oh, because we didn't do our dot. Probably didn't do it up there either. Let's see. See, you guys, typos. Ruin everything. Yep, we didn't put our dot. There we go. All right. So let's test this. So desktop, smaller. Tablet image, smaller. Mobile image. Yay. Now we just got to stack them on top of each other. So let's do that. And I want to be developing. We'll just go to like the iPhone 12 Pro. It's popular. And go back down to our media query for mobile. And then everything we do up here is also going to bleed down to here. So this will be mobile too, because again, it's CSS cascading style sheets. The styles cascade down. So this style will be the same, but then it'll also take on all the rest of the mobile styles that we put up here. So that'll be good. And what we need to do here is do, we need to select our hero content container up here, and we got to make this text on top and this on bottom. So, and we got to display it. We'll use flex, but we'll use flex direction and change it from row to column so that they stack on top of each other perfectly. Okay. So we'll go hero content container, copy that, and then this is all going to be above here. And we will say flex direction column. There we go. We'll just use column because the text is on top. But now we have to, actually, I want to bring this down because see how it's sucked up to here now. We don't want that. So let's give this some margin. And we will do that. We'll just use hero for that. Say hashtag hero. Margin top 3 rem. So that, again, 16 times 3 is like 48 pixels of rem on top. That looks good. And how does that look according to this? It looks good. I like it. So remember, we haven't done this yet. We'll do this next. This and this are a lot less time consuming than what we just did here. We just did the hard part. So the question is this centered? No, it's not. It's still right there. Cool. That makes our life even easier. Okay. So based off everything I just did, this, let's go 100%. This, or no, go 75. Our mobile or our hero area, the one that everybody I know has trouble with, that takes this challenge on, should now be fully mobile on all devices. Okay. So let's go ahead and see. Let's go through the devices here. We'll right click inspect. And we'll start with the BlackBerry Playbook. So this is it in 600 pixels. I think this thing's like a smaller tablet. It's kind of like the iPad mini, but the BlackBerry version. So when it's not turned on its side, it's just 600 pixels around, and that looks fine. And then we turn it to tablet size, and that looks good on tablet. And we'll just do that for all the devices. Galaxy S8, smaller phone, looks good. Flip it, and still looks good. I'm not going to concern myself too much with like getting all of this text perfect for every phone because it's just not, we're not going to be able to do that. There's just too many screen sizes out there. So every time we adjust it to one, it's probably not going to work for the other. So that looks fine. Let's go to the next device. S9 Plus. It's getting a little screen. Oh, this is the 320 screen. I mean, it still works, guys. It's fine. And then when we turn it, it gets even bigger. So that's cool. We can make this a little smaller for the 320. Remember, we do have that media query that's 320, right? So let's go down to our 320 media query. We'll make this image fit a little better, I guess. We'll say, what is it? Hero mobile image. Go down here and we'll just say width 100%. And then we'll say text align center. And then we'll go down and actually select the image itself within this container. Oops. And we'll just say width 100%. And that contains it in the container. And then, let's see, do we even need this? Yeah, we don't. So we'll just use that. That looks better, right? Well, actually, no. We'll keep this and we'll give this some margin on the top. Say margin top 1 rem. Push it down a little bit. There we go. That looks better. We'll develop even for the little baby screens, right? Yeah, that looks fine. The text looks fine. We could adjust the text font sizes if we wanted to, but it's all right. See, and then when you turn it on this Galaxy S9, it looks okay. All right. And LG Optimus L70. I don't even know what this is, but it looks good. Okay. Just keep going through. I have all these devices on here for a reason because they're just like, it's like every broad spectrum of screen size out there. So that's why I have so many devices up here, just again, so when I test stuff, I get it looking on as many devices as I can possibly get it on, because there's just so many screen sizes today, guys, that you got to do your best. But I'm liking what I'm seeing here. We could probably make the H1 text smaller. for mobile and the paragraph, maybe. Let's go up here. We'll say dot hero, what is it? Hero text H1 font size. Let me see what it says on the Figma design. 40 pixels. Okay, yeah, so it is smaller. Font size 40 pixels. Makes it a little smaller. I mean, it doesn't really change how it looks, but yeah. Makes it a little smaller, I guess. It'll be better for the smaller screens. Yeah, see, that's better. But we'll keep the paragraph where it is. iPhone XR. We could probably do that margin top for all of the mobile that we did on the 320 for the picture. Let's just make that on all of it. Let's bring it down a little bit. Let's see, where is it? Margin top right here. Let's just cut this and paste it up there, because all those, again, all the styles will come down. They'll cascade down. Margin top. 2 rem. There we go. Give it a little more space. All right, looks good on the XR. See, and then on these bigger like iPhone screens, or like the Plus and the XR, when you flip it landscape, it's going to show the tablet view, and it still looks good on there. So very happy with that. 12 Pro. Yeah, it's pretty much all the same. Just want to go through all the devices, guys. Don't want any nasty surprises at the end when we get to the end and then we go through and then it's all messed up. But this is looking good, man. Yeah. We already know it looks good on those with like the S5. What about the Fold? Does it look okay on the Fold? That little Fold phone, that stupid little thing. Samsung, let's see, Galaxy Fold. Looks good. Can't believe people buy these, bro. Okay. Yeah. Are we happy? We're happy. All the rest of the screen sizes are pretty much similar, so we can probably call that good, man. We can call that good. We're good on tablet and we're good on mobile for this this hero section. So now we need to do this section. So let's do we'll build it. So this will be pretty easy, guys, because we'll make all these boxes are going to have the same height and width. And then the only box that's going to have a different background is this one, which we'll use an ID for, okay? And the text. And then all the rest of them have all the same stuff. They have like different content, but it's all laid out the same. So we're only going to have to make one box, copy them down, and then just change the images and text. So this will be nice. And then you can see that this get started text, this will be a link. And all of them are down, no matter how much text is here, all of them are down in the same area. And for that, we'll use position relative and position absolute to make sure that these links all stay in the same spot so it matches up nicely. That's how you do that, and I'll show you. And then after that, and then just to make these mobile, guys, this will be simple. We're just going to use, we're probably going to use CSS Grid for this. This will be the easiest way to do it. And then we'll just adjust our grid settings per device, and it'll still look good. And then for mobile, yeah. So this should be pretty easy. So get cracking on this here. All right, guys. So like really quick before we start on this section, I do just want to show you. I said I'd show you what would happen if I got rid of the overflow wrapper on here, so that you understand its importance. And this is also a trick that you can use in the future if you remember about it. If you have stuff that keeps overflowing when it's not supposed to, you can just remember this and hopefully use it yourself. So let's take it out. Let's comment it out and hit save and see what happens now. We get this overflow down here no matter what. And you might ask yourself like, hey, why didn't you just put that on the body? And the reason is, I think I mentioned it before, is when you put overflow X hidden on the body for some reason, modern browsers just don't pick it up like they're supposed to, and it just doesn't work out like it's supposed to on all devices. So it's just better to just make your own div inside of the body overflow x hidden in position relative. And I didn't know that before this project. I had to do a lot of research to finally come to that, and then it worked. So yeah, I was getting stuck on this for a while, guys. So let's go ahead and bring it back so that we don't have our overflow. Bam, gone. Cool. All right. So now let's get cracking on this. What is this? We'll call this like the courses area, course boxes. Okay. So we'll do that really quick, and then we'll do the footer. So yeah, let's get started. So let's go into our HTML, and we'll make another section here. And we'll call this, let's see, it says check out our most popular courses. So we'll call this section popular courses, I guess. That makes sense. So we'll make a section, and then I'll have it have an ID of popular dash courses. And then within it, we'll have our container. And then within our container, remember the container is just to add padding to the sides and keep all of our content in this little box. Then inside there we'll have courses content container. So say dot courses content container. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and make we'll make each little box here. Okay. So the first one is going to be a little different because it's got this different background and it doesn't have all these icons and stuff. So what we'll do is we'll give all of the course boxes a class of course box. So we'll say dot course box, course dash box. And then we'll give this one, we're going to give it an ID of gradient box because it has this little gradient in the background. So we'll say hashtag gradient box, and then I'm going to hit tab. Then it gave me a div with the class of course box and the ID of gradient box. So that's cool. And then we'll have the text in there. So this text is going to be in H2. So I'm going to say H2. And then I'll copy the text over from my Figma file. It says check out our most popular courses. And let's look at that. There's our text. And now we'll style the box and we'll give it the gradient here. So I think that's all we have to do for that one. Just pretty much add that text. So let's go to our style.css and we'll go ahead and style that up. So the first thing I want to do is I want to select the whole popular courses section and bring it down because it's too close to this now. So let's go down, let's copy this. And we'll go right above our media queries and paste that. And we'll say popular courses. Okay, and then we'll get started here. So we'll select popular courses, the whole section. Let's copy paste this so we don't have a typo. There we go. And we'll give it some margin top of 5 rem. Bring that down. There we go. And then we'll give it margin bottom of 10 rem because we don't want, when we make our footer, we don't want our footer to be sucked up to that area. So we'll just do that proactively. So there, now we get some margin top and margin bottom. And now let's do our, let's just make, before I do this, so that we can do display grid and everything, let's just make the rest of our course boxes really quick. Or like the boilerplate for it. So let's go here. And then below here, I'm just going to copy this. Get rid of the ID of gradient box because this is just going to be a normal course box. And then we'll add our boilerplate for what all of our course boxes are going to have. So if we look at the design, they all have an icon at the top. So let's get rid of the H2 because they don't have H2s. And we'll give a div up here called course box icon. And then I'll put the first icon in here, which is like the running guy. So we'll say image / image icon animation is for the running guy. And we'll just put running icon. Save. There it is. And then we have like an H3. So let's just put all of our course box into a container. We'll call it course box text. So we'll say dot course box text. And then H3. And that first box says animation for its text. So we'll say animation. And then below the H3, we have a paragraph. And I'm going to grab this paragraph text that says learn the latest animation techniques and all that. Copy and paste it over from the Figma file. And then below that, we have that link anchor tag that says get started. So let's just put that in there. So A. Hash text is not going anywhere. The text says get started. And we'll give it a class called course box link so that we can style it later easily. So we'll say course box link. And then, yeah, let's see what that looks like. Cool. So we have our gradient box stuff and then our other course box stuff here. So that's good. That's everything. So let's copy this down. There's a total of, let's see, 1, 2, 3. We need 4 more boxes like that. So I'm going to copy this whole course box from here up. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then there we go. Now we can't really see them. So the background for these course boxes is white, but that's never going to show up until we put that. Remember, this whole background of the design has that gradient background. So let's see if it works now that we have all this content, because before it wasn't. It was like repeating or looking weird. So I'm going to save that, uncomment it, save. And now we have that background gradient coming in. So see how it's white up here and then it goes down to like darker gray. And it'll show up. I'll put the background for these to white and it'll show up even more. But now we've got our background color in for the whole design. And I think we're good to go to get started. Now, so let's add our gradient, style this up, and then we'll style all these up and use grid and all that, okay? So let's go down. Go down to our course boxes, popular courses area. And we'll say, what was it called? Get our container for all of them. So it's courses content container. Let's copy this. And we'll look at this now. And select all that. And we'll use grid on this. So I'm going to say display grid. So we've been using Flexbox, but grid is going to be better because this is like a two-row little design here. So display grid. We'll say grid template columns. I'm going to say repeat 3 1 FR. And I'm going to hit save. So see what that did, what that code said. First we said, hey, we're going to be displaying this grid. And then we said within our grid, we want them to go 3 across and take up 1 FR. So that means like we want them to take up the same amount of space 3 across. Okay. And then we want to make sure that these are always centered in the page no matter what our screen size. So we're going to say justify items center. We want them to always be in the center of our design. Okay. So that's good. Now we're going to go down to, we're going to start styling. Remember, each one of these has a class of course box. So let's go select that. Just copy course box. And each one of these on desktop has a certain height and width that I'm getting from the Figma design. So I know the width for all these is supposed to be 350 pixels, so we'll just give it that width. And the height is 322 pixels. Okay, so then there we go. So again, our screen is like scrunched up here, but if we look at that now, you can see they're starting to take shape. They all have a border radius that have rounded corners, and that the border radius is supposed to be 15 pixels. The background for each box is white, so we'll just do white. There we go. See, now our boxes are showing. Okay, and now we got to make our boxes are all scrunched up, but in the design they have spacing, so we'll add the spacing now. And to add spacing for grid items, you use the gap property. So go fuck. So we use the gap property. So we're gonna go back up here, guys, to where we did where we displayed it grid, and we're gonna use gap. This is shorthand, and we're gonna say we want 3.5 rem and 1.5 rem. Okay, so the 3.5 rem is top and bottom, and 1.5 is left and right. So the same as margin and padding shorthand, top and bottom, left and right. Okay, so those look more like the design now. And of course, we got to give this one the gradient still, which we will. But yeah, see how that looks like the design now? It's coming together. So let's style our gradient box, give it that gradient color it should have. So let me go, we'll go hashtag, where should we put this? Let's put it, let's put it front first, because this is the first box. So we'll say hashtag, let's make sure we're spelling that right. Let's grab gradient box from here, we'll copy that. We'll paste that in. And I'm going to grab the gradient background. It should be from the Figma file because it's already in there for me. Remember, we're on developer mode over there. So it's got all of our styles on the right-hand corner. Paste that in. And save. Bam. There's the gradient from the design. Perfect. And that's all we really need to do for that. Let's do the H2, I guess, because this is the only one with an H2. We'll style that H2 up. So we'll say dot course box H2. Oops. So dot course box H2. And I'm going to get the font size and everything from Figma and paste it in here because it's already all on there for me. Well, for the most part it is. So I'm going to copy this and paste it so I don't have to write it all out. So there, now that looks like the design. So the font size is 32 pixels. Padding top is about 4 rem. Padding left 1.3 rem. And those I calculated myself off screen. Font weight is supposed to be 800, width of 90%, and the color of the text is white. So let's look at that, compare it to this, and that looks just like it, so that's good. So our gradient box is all set. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and we'll style our the rest of our course boxes. So I'm going to put this up here above course box. Yeah, it looks better. Okay, so we have to make our icons like go up. It's like up above each box, like halfway, and we'll use negative margin for that. And then we'll give our some padding to our text, and we'll style up our text, and then we'll style up our link for each one. Okay. So the beautiful thing is, guys, again, we're going to be doing this for all the boxes at the same time, and then changing their content. So it'll be a lot easier than what we had to do for this up here, where we had to do all those styles and play around with a ton of different images and stuff. We're pretty much in the home stretch now, so that's good. So let's go down, and we'll do the course box icon first. So let's select course box icon. Okay. And this is where we're going to use negative margins to bring it over and up like it's supposed to be. So see how they're just in the corner now? So I'm going to say, for my course box icon, I'm going to say margin left. And I'm going to say 1.5 rems. Okay, so that pushed all of our icons over. And now we got to make it go up like halfway about. So for that, we'll use negative margin top again. So we'll say margin top. And we'll say negative 1.5 rem. Boom. And that looks just like the design. So they're like kind of peeking halfway up out of the box. And that's what they're doing here. Okay. So we're happy with that. Now we got to do, remember we have all of our text within a container. And we have to give all of it some padding because it's pushed over. Okay. It's not just sucked up to the corner. So below course box icon, I'm going to say course box text. So course box text. And I'm going to say padding top because we want to give it some space on the top of 1 rem. Okay, I'm going to push it down from our icon, which we just did. And then we're going to say padding left. And I'm going to say that's about 1.7 rem. Okay, so now our text is pushed down and over, just like the design. So it's down and over, okay? And now we're going to do, what did we made all of our headings in the other boxes H3, so let's style those. So we'll say dot course box H3. So I'm just going to copy that, put H3. And the font size for those, according to the Figma design, is 24 pixels. And let's see the color here. Yeah, it's got that dark color, so we'll say color. This one, the 13183F. Okay. And then they've got a font weight of 800, so they're pretty bold. Okay. And then we'll give it some padding on the bottom so that all this text isn't right up on it. So we'll say padding bottom 1.5 rem. Beautiful. Okay. And then next, of course, we're going to style the paragraph. So we'll say dot course box P. Keep making 2 dots, my fault. So dot course box P. And we're going to give this padding bottom because I can already see the link is like up to where I don't want it to be. So padding bottom 1.5 rem. Okay, pushes all the links down a little bit. Give it a color of what the paragraphs are all supposed to have this hashtag 83869A color. So we'll give it that. The font size for these is supposed to be 18 pixels, just on desktop. And the font weight 500, so we'll make sure that it's 500. And the line height is 28 pixels. So give it some spacing between the text words. Okay, and the width of this, so I don't want it sucking all the way over to this side, so we're going to put a width of like 90% on this. And there we go, because that's pretty much what they look like in the design. Like all the text has a width to it. It's not all the way onto the side. It's not 100%, so that looks pretty good. And again, guys, I got all the styling from off screen, just to reiterate how I'm getting all this. I'm not just pulling it out of thin air. It's all on Figma. So again, you should probably download Figma. Make sure you go to view and then developer mode, or see it says open design mode here. If you're already in design mode, this will say open developer mode and vice versa, okay? And then you can just click here and all of your styling and what it should be is right here, okay? So that's what I'm doing, or again, just follow along with me if you don't want to do that, but you should at least learn one design software if you're going to try to get a job, and Figma's free. I mean, you can also learn Photoshop, which is popular, but Photoshop costs a lot of money a month. So, but again, you can make the investment yourself. There's no problem with that. So yeah, let's look at it. Let's look at what we got here so far. So we still have to style the link, but and then we'll change the change the content for each box, but as far as like how it's supposed to look and positioning and border radius and all that, pretty close, guys. We're looking good here. All right, so let's style the link next. So all the links are supposed to be like a pinkish color, and they're all supposed to be down in the bottom in the same spot, regardless of how much text is in each box. Because we can see right now that they're well, they all look the same because we didn't change the content yet, but when we change each paragraph and content, all the links are going to be different in different areas because each box has a different amount of words in it. Okay. Let's go down. So let's style the links now. So they all have the course box link class. So we'll select that. And the color for these, according to Figma, is going to be hashtag F74780. Oops, 780. There we go. And they're going to be 18 pixel font size, just like the paragraph. Font weight is going to be 700. And we want the cursor to be pointer because they're links. And now we're going to do, we're going to position each link where it should be. So to do that, we'll use position absolute and position relative. So let's make all of our course boxes have position relative. Position relative. And now we can make all of our links position absolute and put them where we want, and they'll stay. So I'll say position absolute. Remember, guys, position absolute and relative. You make the parent div, whatever your content is in, make the parent relative, and then make what you want to move around absolute, and then that way it'll always be in position relative to where its parent is, which means it'll always stay in the same spot. Okay. And I have a whole video on that. I think I have like a whole CSS course video on that if you want to check that out, if that's not making sense to you. So we'll just say, as far as positioning goes for all these, we'll say bottom 10%. There we go. So now they all got pushed down. Now they're all 10% above the bottom. And they're going to stay there no matter how big or small our text is. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and add our content to each box to what it's supposed to be. So animation is first, and then the next one is, which we already did first. The next one is design. So let's say design. And can't really see it because my screen is so small, but I did change that to design. So now we got to change the icon and the text, okay? So let's go up here, and this should be the design icon. So we'll say /image icon design, and then we'll say design icon for our alt text. And I'm going to copy the text for design and just paste it in here because I don't want to write it all out. So I'll put it here. Bam. And that's our design one now, okay? So we got the design, the text, and even though, see, our text is significantly smaller than here, but our get started is still in the same spot in all of them because we use position relative, position absolute. If we didn't do that, it would just be 1.5 rem bottom of each of the paragraphs, and your get started for this one would be up here, this one would be down here. It wouldn't look as pretty, okay? And maybe when we're done adding all the different contents, we can delete that, and just so I can show you what I'm trying to, the message I'm trying to get across. It'll be better if you can see it visually. All right, so after design, we have what? We have, look at my Figma here. We have photography. So say photography. And then see our photography there. We'll add the photography icon. Say /image icon photography. We'll say photo icon for alt text. And then we'll add in the text for photography. Copy it from Figma and paste it in here. Oops. Paste it right here. Explore critical fundamentals like lighting, composition, and focus to capture exceptional photos. So that's that. Then after that, we have crypto. So we'll say crypto. Okay, there's crypto. We'll do the crypto icon. So it's really nice, guys, when we have designs and we write our code correctly to where we just have to update content and we don't have to do a bunch of CSS. It's so nice. And you should always try to, when you see the same thing over and over again, guys, just a lot of copy pasting and just updating the HTML. That's the way to do it. You don't want to keep writing the same code over and over for each different box. So we'll add our heading, our crypto icon. Let's add our crypto text. I copy pasted that over again. All you need to know to get started investing in crypto. Yeah, it's definitely not a scam. All right. Last business. The last course box is business. So let's get our the business icon in there. Change the heading to business. And then we'll copy the business text and paste it in here. Okay. And let's see how we're doing. So there we go. All of our different boxes with the different content and icons. Compare that to the design. It looks pretty good. Okay. That's good. Now, I'll show you what I mean when I said that position absolute stuff. I'm just going to comment this out and save. And now you can see that like our get started links are all sitting in different spots now, and it doesn't look pretty like the design. So whenever you see a design, guys, there's going to be that's like a pretty common design practice to have like links and then have them all be in the same spot regardless of how much text is in a box, or photos to be in the same spot regardless. And that's how you do it. Just use position relative, position absolute. That throws a lot of newer people off on how to do that. So there we go. They all go back to their spots. All right, so now we have to make this mobile responsive on all different screens, so that shouldn't take nearly as long as the header. And then we just got to do the footer, and we're done with the project. So let's look at the tablet view. And for really all we have to do for the most part is probably adjust the width and height of each box a little bit, and then just make our grid, instead of being 3 across, 2 across, so that they stack on top of each other. So let's get that done. Let's go to our CSS. And we're not going to have to do that for the bigger 1400 screens and up, because that's plenty of screen size to have 3 across. Just to show you. iPad Pro. Should be plenty, maybe not. Oh, though that's because we're gonna fix the height and width of these first. So let's do that first. Let's see their course boxes. P2. Okay. You know what? We're actually going to do that. We'll do it for all, because it looks like it is a little bigger than I thought. So let's go copy this right here, our courses box container. Copy it and we'll paste it down here in our media queries. And we're going to get rid of this, because we're going to basically get rid of everything that we don't need. That's already going to stay the same. And instead of 3 1FR, we're going to say just 2 1FR, so that should stack them. There we go. There we go. So now we have just the 2-column layout. Let's see what the design looks like. Yeah. So cool. So they're stacked again. This tablet screen for the design preview is like smaller than the big iPad Pro screen, but you get the idea. They look how they're supposed to look. It's just a bigger screen. But yeah, now they fit nicely on that screen. Let me see if there's like different widths on them, or width 340, height 259. Okay, so according to Figma, the boxes are also supposed to be slightly smaller, but for this screen size, they don't really have to be. Maybe for the next one. So let's select our course box. 350. It's 340. So slightly smaller boxes. So we probably won't have to do that until we get down to like the 1024. So we'll just go down here, and I'll make the width 340 and the height 259. And that's going to be for 1020, so smaller tablets and down. So let's just test the Nest Hub Pro Max. That looks good. Remember, that's 1280. We don't got to change anything for that. Let's go down to the 1024, which will be the regular Nest Hub. That looks good. How about like the iPad Mini? Looks good. So that looks more like the traditional tablet design view that we get, but let's see. Might have to make them taller, actually. So what's the original? See, now it's too short on there. At least not on that one. So we changed the height for the course boxes, guys, and I don't think I like that for mobile. We should just keep it 322 for sure. So let's go. Let's delete that. There we go. I think Figma was wrong on that one. Now it looks better. And then maybe so from 820. So you can see that from this screen size, that's not really going to work with our boxes. So that's telling me that right here, this is where the 850 one's going to come in. And we're going to make our grid just stack on top of each other like the mobile view from there on out. So it'll just look like this. So we also got to adjust the size of this one, I guess, and then everything else is just going to stack. So let's get that done. Copy this code. And we'll go down to our 850 width. And we're just going to say repeat 1FR. And there we go. And then we'll say, now we can probably make the course box width bigger, so it takes up a little more of the screen. Because on mobile, it's supposed to take up most of the screen. Yeah. So we could probably change the width to like 100% there. Let's see. And then we can also take we have that grid gap where it's like left and right. We'll take that off too. So course box container, let's do gap. Do gap 1 rem, top and bottom 0 rem, left and right. Because this is what's supposed to look like in the design, just a little bit of space between them. It's probably more than that. Maybe we'll still need the 3 because now they're too close. And the reason is, there we go, because that icon is poking up there. And then good, we got 0 rem. C dot course box. Select this, and let's say width. Let's see what 100% gives us. There we go. That looks good. That looks better. Looks more like a mobile view. And then we'll keep the height the same. Yeah. And then we can adjust the text widths, because now I want it to stack up more than that. And then same thing with the H, at least with this H2. So this box is supposed to be smaller on mobile. It's supposed to be like half the height for whatever reason. So let's do that. Let's grab it. What do we call that? A gradient box. So we'll select gradient box, come down here, and paste that in. Going to keep the background, but we'll give it a height. Let's just say height 200 pixels. See what that does. There we go. That looks more like the design. Yep, I'm happy with that. So height 200. And then we'll say gradient box, or was it course box H2? Course box H2. We'll make the width on this so it stacks more like this. So let's go down here, course box H2, delete everything but the width, which is the only thing we're going to change on here. And we'll say like 65%. That's better. Cool. Okay. And what else? Probably change the widths on these a little bit. Height 322. See, so course box paragraph, I want to suck these in a little bit. So let's say dot course box P. Oops. Okay. And we'll say width 70%. That's better. I like that. Maybe we can do, let's see what 65 looks like. No, I don't know. I like 70 better. Let's go with 70 so that the text stacks up a little bit more. It's not just super long. Because the mobile design, it stacks. So, yeah, 70 is good. What else? I think we're looking good here. And this is gonna, remember, this is for all mobile guys, so this is actually gonna all bleed down into like mobile phone view and everything. So let's see how it looks on mobile phones. So let's see, BlackBerry Playbook, and then tablet size. Get that, looks good. S8, this is just like a standard mobile phone. Still looks pretty good. Uh-oh, that's not, so we gotta fix that. Gotta make this taller, guys, for mobiles. The gradient box height. So we'll keep it that for 850, but once we dip down to, we'll just put it on. I wonder if we can just change this to a percentage, like height 100%. Yeah, we could do that. We could say like 120%. Nah, that's messing it up. Let's say height. So what did we have it at before? 200? 240? And then let's say 280. Yeah, let's just keep it like that for like these other mobile phones because I don't want to have to keep adjusting that. All right, so we'll do that. And then for this, it goes back to that little size, which is fine. Okay. S9. Uh-oh. Oh, it's just for the 320 screen, so that's okay. This is for like the super small screens. We've got to adjust our height. So we'll do that. Let's do that now. Let's go down to 320. And we'll say, let's go down here. Let's just give this course box a lot of height so that we don't have this issue. So we'll just say dot course box. And we'll say height. And let's say like 400 pixels. There we go. Yeah. Fixes that. And let's make sure it looks good on that little 280 pixel fold phone, Galaxy Fold, right? Yeah, looks good. This is like the smallest of the small screens, and it still looks good, so cool. As long as it doesn't gotta look picture perfect, that it's readable, looks like the design, we're good. All right. That's pretty much it, guys. Might be ready to move on to the footer. This is looking good. Try Nest Hub again. Nest Hub Max. Galaxy S5. Okay. Pixel 2. Okay. Pixel 2 XL. Looking good, looking good. Phone 5 SE. The old iPhone 5. People still buy these on eBay and use them, guys. Believe it or not. You can actually still sell iPhones 4 and 5s, and people will buy them quick. A little interesting tidbit from an eBay seller. Alright. Yeah, we're looking good, guys. I just like to go through all the devices to make myself feel better. But you can skip this part of the video. That's pretty much it. iPhone X. Okay. And iPad Pro. Looking good. All right, we can move on, and we'll just do the footer next, and then we'll be done, guys. All right, guys, so pretty much done with the project. All we have to do now is the footer. So the footer, let me pull it up here. So the footer is really simple. It's just dark background and a logo and a button, just like the nav. So shouldn't be too hard to make that, and it'll be pretty responsive for all screens right out of the box, so that'll be nice. Okay, so let's go to our index HTML, and we'll go below our last section, and we'll write footer. And then within our footer, we'll use our container class. And then within the container class, we'll have a unordered list, and we'll give it the class of footer nav. And then within there, we'll have our li, a placeholder, and this is going to be an image. This is going to be the light logo, the skilled logo that's white. So we'll go down to logo light.svg. And for my alt text, I'll put skilled logo light. And then right underneath that li, we'll do another li with an anchor tag and a placeholder, and that'll be our button. And we'll put a class on that called footer btn. And then it's got the same text as all the other buttons. It just says get started. Okay. And let's see, that should be appearing here. Yep, there's our logo and our button. So, whoops, let's just go ahead and make our styling now. So I'm going to go to style.css. I'm going to copy our comment here for popular courses. And we're going to go underneath here. And I'm just going to write, oops, sorry about that, guys. I'm going to write footer in here. It's nice to just keep your code nice and labeled and separated, especially CSS. And we'll select the footer, and we'll give it the background, that dark background, same as the button. There we go. And then we'll do padding. We'll give it 1 rem of padding top and bottom and 0 rem left and right. So now it's got some space to breathe. Okay. And then we'll select our footer nav class. And we'll display that flex. say align item center, and justify content, space between. Okay, so that puts them on opposite ends of each other. And then we'll style our footer button. So we'll say dot footer btn. And I'm just going to copy paste the styles over from Figma, because they're all the same as the other button that just has a different gradient on it, which is this background color. So these are all the other same styles as all the other buttons that we've done, guys. Don't really want to write them all out from scratch again. And I'm just going to save. And there we go. There's our button. Okay, so looks just like the design, so that's good. Now that button does have a hover state where it gets lighter when we hover over it, just like the other ones. So we'll do that. We already have our transition and background there, so I'm going to copy this down. Footer button hover. Use our hover effect. And it just changes the background to a lighter gradient when we hover over it. And all that complicated code, again, I'm getting from Figma. I can just copy and paste it. So I'll do that, make my life easier. And let's hover over it and see if that works. And it does. Okay. So that's it for the footer. The only thing now that we have to change is we got to make it more responsive. And our footer out of the box, it's going to be responsive on most screens except for those super small screens. So we'll just make it a little extra code for those. Well, basically, we're just going to be making this button smaller so it doesn't take up so much space. So I'm going to right click. Whoops. I'm going to right click and hit inspect. And so this is like a regular iPhone, a 678. It looks good on there. Galaxy S8, it looks good, but we're going to run into trouble on like the 320 and below. It doesn't look so great. We'll fix that a little bit. So let's go to our code. And to our media queries, we're going to go all the way down. And we're going to go to the 320 pix and lower. And we're going to say footer btn. And we're going to change the width just to make it smaller and shorter. So let's say width. Let's make it 130 pixels. And the height, we're just going to make 40 pixels on the screen size. And when I save, it should get smaller and make this look a little better. So I'll save. And yep, that looks better. Okay, so it'll be for that screen and for the Galaxy Fold right there. Okay, so that looks like it fits better. So basically the same thing we did up here. And then we turn them and they get bigger. They look good. Okay. So I think that's it for our project, guys. Let's take a look at the finished product. Okay. Very nice. And then we'll make it go mobile. So let's do this. Let's watch it shrink in real time and see how we did. Down, 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 smaller, smaller. So this is like what, tablet? Everything here is tablet on. Okay. And then down, smaller, smaller tablets. Smaller tablets in phone landscape, smartphone landscape mode. And then down to mobile. So mobile's like right here. This is like smartphones. Okay. And then we can make it a little smaller. Still looks good on small screens. See how it's shrinking down perfectly. Looks good on every device. We can check. You can check this too, guys, on your end. Like, go through every device, make sure it looks good. I'm pretty positive it does, but I am human, so I could have made a mistake somewhere, right? And if I did, go ahead and fix it. That'll be a great way for you to learn, right? But yeah, I like how this looks, guys. This was a fun project. I know a lot of people had trouble with this part, but hopefully the solution I provided you taught you how to navigate stuff like that for the future, so you can do it on your own. And yeah, it's a valuable skill. You're going to run into stuff, guys, designs or coding or programming in HTML or programming when you learn like JavaScript and programming languages. You're going to run into issues like that just stump you for like a week sometimes. Like, it's going to happen. And the best thing you can do is just take a break and come back at it once a day maybe, or whenever your frustrations are low enough where you can try it again. And just keep going until you get it. This took me a couple days. I was stuck, guys. I'm going to be honest with you. I was actually stuck on that, on like how best to do it before I came up with the idea. Like, let's just make widescreen desktop and then the rest tablet, so that this isn't going to torture me. So it took me a while to get to that conclusion, but I eventually got there, right? And then the whole X overflow thing that I had to discover for myself, because I was trying to, this thing kept making my body overflow, and I was getting the scroll bar down here, and then I finally found my answer, which was to make that wrapper that we made up here, the overflow wrapper, and just wrap everything underneath the body. That's a new skill that I learned. I didn't even know that was a thing, so that helped a lot too. But yeah, you never stop learning web development, guys. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you all for watching my videos and giving me subscriptions. I've barely been doing this for 2 months, and I'm already over 100 subs, and I get very nice messages and comments a lot. People saying that these are really helping them, so that's really keeping me going. I appreciate it. Yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.